South Africa's construction industry has been battling with the challenge of the so-called construction mafia. This practice has raised questions on how to deal with compliance for those projects that were hijacked. Joining us now to weigh in on this is the president of the South African Council for the Architectural Profession, Charles Nduku. Mr. Nduku, good to have you, and thank you very much for coming on this afternoon. You have what is called forums that are insisting on 30% of the procurement going their way. And you have businesses, at least the ones that I've engaged in the construction sector, that say these folks want the 30%, but they're not even making any meaningful contribution. In fact, they want the 30% to just take it and go away. As long as you pay that, at least for the meantime, they allow you to continue operating based on the terms of that arrangement. Is this a way of advancing, I suppose, black professionals?
Yeah, no, I don't think it's the right way to advance that. And you cannot just demand 30% without getting involved. And I think in this country, there are laws, there are procurement in this country that govern the services of employing professionals. So we have to abide by those systems or procurement systems. You can't just come and demand 30%. It's a problem that has actually been with the profession, or in fact with the construction industry, which resulted into the construction mafia. But I mean, even the professionals, on the professional level, I have not heard anything that professionals demand 30% because they are supposed to be getting 30%. That is only happening in the construction space. Yeah. And it has been termed construction mafia, because we have code of conduct. We have all the professionals are registered, and they know what they're supposed to do and what they're not supposed to do. They act professionally, so they cannot just go and demand as professionals. But the construction mafia problem is affecting us, impacting us negatively, because we run those sites and we administer the contracts between the client and the contractor, and we have to be there. And anything that is happening there, I think it really impacts us negatively, and the risk to our professionals is quite high. Yeah. But there's no demand from professionals. It's only the contractors that are demanding 30%.
So in your particular space, I mean, is there a shortage of so-called black professionals? Because sometimes when we get to this space, other businesses would say, well, we have a shortage of professionals, or a shortage of architects, so we had to use a so-called white-owned firm because there were no black people that we could hire.
Yeah, no, there's no shortage. There's no shortage at all. You can argue and say that the number of black professionals are fewer. Actually, they are, to be quite honest. If you look at the number of professionals or qualified architectural professionals, there are fewer, very few black professionals. I think they are around 30%. And of course, that speaks to the question of the transformation, not necessarily to say there is not enough. There is, in terms of the work that is available. But I think this issue is being addressed through the transformation the country is going through. There is not enough in terms of the black architectural professionals, and we need to, in fact, not only the architects, throughout the country, that the black professionals, I mean, in engineers, in wherever, quantity surveyors, there is fewer of them. Yes. But in terms of the work, I think we are as good as our counterparts. And unfortunately, because now we are living in an open market society where we have to bid for a service. So that does not allow the growth of the black professionals, because now everyone has to compete in the market. So there is no space, or policies. Yes, there are procurement policies, but they are not particular to our profession or our sector. It is, part of the PFMA goods and services, the preferential procurement policy. It has no impact whatsoever in the growth of black professionals. Hence, there is a shortage in terms of the black professionals. If you look at the number of black professionals compared to the white professionals, there is a shortage. But unfortunately, the vehicles that are there are not helping the situation to actually grow the number, so that the demographics are reflected properly as per our now demographic landscape.
Now, in the two, at least, incidents, I'm sure there are many, but there is two generally in recent time that jump to mind. One would have been the collapse of the bridge here in Sandton, and there would have been the Eastern Cape incident of the building that would have collapsed there. When those two incidents happened, right, the conversations that were going on was whether or not the architects and the engineers were compliant in terms of due diligence as far as those construction projects are concerned. How rife is the question of non-compliance in your particular sector?
Yeah, the non-compliance it does not. It cuts across the board. Unfortunately, there is a lack of understanding and knowledge by the public or even client bodies that only registered persons can do the work or the project properly. So that space is contested even by the unregistered persons. As long as you probably have qualification, but you are not a professional architect, though you have profession qualification, but you have to register. So if you are not registered, you are not allowed to perform any architectural work. So what happens is, because of the lack of the knowledge by the client bodies or even the public, so whoever is masquerading as an architect is given an opportunity or a job, and incidents like this do happen. Because it's only then they realize that, okay, this person was not registered, or this person is only a lower category, because we have 4 categories of registration: architect, senior technologist, and draftsperson. And the scope is there defined by the policy of identification of work. It stipulates what kind of work that you can do. It actually clearly defines the competencies of each category, so that when we get appointed, then you get appointed to do the work that you are competent to do. The problem is, there is no due diligence from the client side to check that whoever is engaged to perform architectural work does have expertise and qualification, or registered as a professional to do that particular job.
Yeah. Others look at that as red tape. As they say, this is a stumbling block. These are the things that delay transformation. To say, government puts a lot of these requirements in order for you to even get that certificate. But your view is that this is critical that you undergo, even though the process might sometimes drag for a while and be tedious.
Yeah. Yes, you have to go that training. You have to go through the competency tests. You have to be trained to be a professional. You don't just become a professional if you did not go through the process of training, internship, for an example, to be an architect. After you've qualified as an architect, you have to work under the mentor for 24 months, which is like 2 years, under the control of a registered professional. So that you are taken through the process of starting from the design through the development of the design, during the construction, administering of the contract between the client and the contractor. And you cannot just understand or know and have that skill without working under the mentor, somebody who's going to guide you to actually understand these processes. You can have your degree or your master's, but it is just a degree or a master's until you are mentored to understand the ins and outs. The practice is slightly different. The education is actually preparing you to be able to be competent so that you can meet the challenges that you're going to come across when you practice. Otherwise, you have to go through that process in order for you to perform architecture. It is not a red tape. I think that is why people are called professionals, because they've gone through, they've tested, there are standards that are set that you have to meet. And once you meet those standards, you write exams, and then you are certified a professional after that.